Hello everyone and welcome to my Broodtwister Mythic guide. What I'll do is I'll go through the raid plan briefly, I'll go through the assignments briefly, and I'll just show some key elements of the fight and show the differences between Heroic and Mythic and some important areas where you need to really be focused, okay? Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, so on this raid plan, what you can see, I think this is a raid plan that's available for everyone, but I'll still make it available in the video, but you can see we've got 3 sections. And we can see that we start here, we move here, and we move here. So on Mythic, what's going to happen is, depending on the section that you pick, it's going to empower that ads that are already there. So this is the first section you start in that's got far more parasites than anything else. And what happens is the parasites will have more health, essentially. So we start here because it's the easiest thing to deal with. We go here, which is spiders, and then we go here, which is worms. The worms one is an increase in cast speed, which is really frustrating to deal with, really. So with the strat now, you don't really have to deal with that. So essentially, yeah, we'll start here. What you can see is there's individual like icons in each of them, which is the colors to where the people need to go to break eggs. Note in Mythic that 2 people need to break a set of eggs and they have to have their debuffs over both sets of eggs. Okay, we'll touch on that a bit more later. So anyway, these will also correspond to where the people that have to shove the parasites in stand. And then you can also see that there's worms that have got specific marks on them. So cross, skull, 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 cross, and as you go on you can see them. So really good knowledge for someone to have a look at it, because what people will need to do is they'll need to mark up their ad and that'll start off the interrupt anchor for them. So there's not really much detail to go in on this. It provides everything you need and it's really good. I didn't make it, I don't know who made it, but well done whoever made this because it's fantastic. Essentially, yeah, you'll start here, you'll go around, everyone will know what these marks are, and there's some weak auras to deal with that. And you'll need to make sure that the people that are interrupting the worms have looked and know exactly where their worm they need to mark or interrupt are, depending on whether you're using liquid or NS, essentially. Okay, good stuff. Just one thing to go over for tanks. You should have 2 DKs, essentially, and your third tank, it doesn't really matter what they are. If you're doing 3 tanks, if you're just doing 2 tanks, it should be 2 DKs. What I will note, and when you go through assignments, this will make more sense. So you start in this bit, okay? You can see you've got parasite, parasite, parasite. You will have people pushing 2 sets of parasites. It's normally diamond that's pushed and triangle that's pushed. So your DK will need to position themselves in a way. So let's say they have themselves here or the boss here, so that when they bring the parasites in, they're shoved to here, they're shoved to here, and they're obviously already there, and they can reach all 3 sets. So your tanks will need to look through this and think about who's tanking on this one, what their positioning is, who's tanking on this one. Obviously, this one's a lot easier. What their positioning is, who's tanking on this one, what their position is. This will be shoved in, this will be shoved in. Generally, it's just a case of getting on top of a worm that's close. Obviously, not in this instances, that's on top of the side of spider. But yeah, just for the tanks to think about, they can look through this as well and think, where should I be positioned on what set, right? You've got a 1, you've got a 2, you've got a 3, and all of them, you know who's tanking what to have a look through, okay? Okay, so assignments. We were limited on the knocks that we have. Obviously, if you have a lot of evokers or you have a balanced druid, then, well, if you have 2 balanced druids, really all you need is 2 balanced druids, or, you know, resto druid or feral druid or whatever. I'm a tank, so it was a little bit rubbish for me, but I'm the 3rd tank, so it's fine. So your knocks, okay, you have 1 on purple and 1 on green. You never really need to worry about these 2. Just don't worry about them, okay? The boss should be positioned that they always get pulled in no matter what, so do not worry about these 2. So what we did, okay, it was a little bit different on the first pull when we did it. You could have 1 evoker per, but now they've changed that and evokers can't do every set. So what I did is I changed to 2 evokers on purple. They rotate the knocks on purple, so you can see you've got the raid plan, so it'd be purple, purple, purple. They rotate their knocks on purple, and then I just went and did green. So it was a bit rubbish for me because obviously I had to run out from everything and then push them in and then come in, and by the time I'd get in, most of the ads would be dead anyway, but it's fine, you have to make sacrifices, right? So that's what you need to think about, who's doing what. Obviously me as a 3rd tank doing it is less of a DPS loss than a DPS doing it probably, so swings and roundabouts. But yeah, what you want is you want either 2 druids just on these 2, or you want 2 evokers to rotate, and then it would be another 2 evokers to rotate, or something with the straightforward push. Druids and evokers, in my opinion, are best for it, okay? And then I didn't need to so we used the liquid pack, just so you're aware. Okay, we did use Northern Sky at the beginning, but we used to change the liquid pack, and it's a little bit better in my opinion. So what this does, the egg priority, is it makes sure that these two players, because they're pushing on purple, are always assigned to breaking a purple egg. Okay, so no matter what, it will force the weak aura to give them purple to go break the purple eggs that are never out of position. I didn't need that because I'm not breaking any eggs because I was tanking. But yeah, what you'd want to do is you want to put whoever is doing your triangle in there and whoever's doing your diamonds in there. Obviously I put both of them because they were rotating, so they needed to be there. For world marker responsibility, this doesn't really do anything. This is just to help help people know what they're doing. We just had one guy doing it, and they had the weak aura to help them do it. So have a look into that if that's something you do want. Otherwise, you need to get one person per role, or one person should just do it all themselves by putting the marks out. They will sacrifice a lot of their, damage and stuff to do that. But if that's the easiest way, that's the easiest way. That's completely up to you. So the next thing is these interrupts assignments. So these are really, really important. All right. You need to make sure that you've obviously got players you can trust, but you do basically need to use most of your raids. So make sure you've got the interrupt anchor. We had some issues where people would have to re-import it. So if there is an issue with people not seeing what's going on, get them to re-import it. Okay. So you can see which ones are commonly most up, and Skull is probably killed first the most, hence why I've put less people on this and 2 shamans, because low cooldown interrupts. So yeah, these 3 people here will have responsibility to mark their ad. So they need to know where it is, okay, with these little marks. When you use liquid, it auto marked it for you. So to be honest, if you're using liquid, they probably don't need that responsibility, but you do need to make sure everybody in the raid has assistant then, okay? So yeah, if you're using an S, they need to mark. If you're not using an S and using liquid, it should auto mark, but give everybody in a raid assist and sort out your interrupts. Cool. So as said here, you know that the mythic changes 2 people need to break eggs, and you have multiples eggs. So you can see this person gets yellow, they run there, and you can see that both circles are interacting with both eggs. And that's really important. And then what happens is they'll go off, and then they'll both be put out. You can get swirlies on you during that phase. So when you do get swirlies put on you during that phase, you need to make sure that you're either standing slightly off your egg if there's a long time left, and then you run in, so you bait the swirly away. Or if it's towards the end, you just move very quickly after the egg is broken. You have to tank a swirly if you have to tank a swirly. It's as simple as that. Okay, so just to give you a range perspective on how this works. So I'll give you a little bit of bonus. You can see him going and doing all the marks. Nice and easy, nice and quick. And then we're doing our second set in the first section. So it's still just parasites that are empowered. You have webs come in, you're nice and spread and ranged. Not a problem. Webs are dealt with. And then you get the absorbs together with the egg breaks. So what do? You can see the timers there. You get in, make sure it's over both eggs. Nice and easy. Sorted. And then what you can see is he marks his skull. Marks the skull, he interrupts the skull, carries on. You can see how the weak aura is basically telling who's next. Now it's on K's, who's next once they interrupt. And it switches the names. It shows the names of who should be interrupting. So it's really, really good and really important that you get that. So I just thought I'd show you my job as a pusher. So essentially this is what anyone that's doing this needs to do. You need to know where your color is. You go there, you get behind the ads, you push it towards the face of the boss. They get gripped in. What's important here is when they get gripped in, do not just send your stuns, right? They get gripped in, they don't cast for a little bit. You can wait a second or 2, then send your stuns and your wrestles and all of that kind of stuff. And it just gives you that little bit of extra time. There's no point in just as soon as they grip sending your stuns, it loses time. So always wait a second. Whoever your first stun person is, normally it's a monk with leg sweep or a demon hunter. But yeah, whoever that person is, they can wait a second before doing it. And oppressive rules are also really good there as well. Okay, so just another part of the fight that I wanted to go through. So this is the second egg break in the second section with empowered spiders. If you notice where the melee is stood here, please make sure your melee stand here. There are 3 spiders that come in, and what you don't want to be doing is get an instant aggro of a spider. So position yourself out of the raid, then move in, and then start getting them. You can see here there's 3 worms up. We have an explosion go off. We just recover from it. That might have even been a tank explosion, I don't know. But yeah, essentially this is really, really difficult. You need to make sure that you're not getting aggro of a spider as a melee. And then the final thing that I go through with my group quite a lot is this section. You get egg breaks first, then followed by the webs. So what you need to make sure you're doing as a melee even ranged, is giving yourself a position to get out. So Kay gets out and jumps. I'm a tank, so I can go into the rubbish and get myself out and make sure you don't hit anybody else. You need to really make sure that you're not screwing the people with eggs there, because if you're rooting them there and there's a swirly there and they've already got a heal absorb, you're probably going to kill someone. Okay, and then you can see that these 3 spiders are empowered, and essentially you just need to keep sacks on your tanks in this point, and or externals if they call for it. Get these spiders down, hit the boss as hard as you can. Then you go into the last phase, which is not what the image shows in the raid plan. It's slightly different. So here, as we go over, you can see we've got the perspective of the marker again. What's going to happen is they're just going to mark up these 3 ads. Okay, just those 3 ads. You can see them there. So if you want to be able to look at what they are, it's just those 3, and you need to deal with them as you would any normal. Obviously, the worms are going to cast a lot quicker, but basically the boss's health, if you can get it to around 33% before going into this phase, you should be able to get lower, I would imagine, at this point. Then yeah, you just mark up those 3 ads and you just deal with those 3 ads, and then you can see that we're just dealing with that yellow ad that's marked out to the side there. From there, it's just make sure that the 2 yellow people are on it and that everybody else is spread and they're not breaking any other eggs. And then make sure that you interrupt the worm, and it's just a race of DPS the boss before any other eggs are broken from the black blood that's spreading on the floor. I think that everybody should have the DPS now to be able to deal with this. But yeah, obviously nice and spread, moving out, all good, and just kill the boss. As always, thanks for watching. I would just suggest to hero on pool now. It's probably the easiest thing. And yeah, 2 or 3 tanks, 3 healers, and you should be all good. Yeah, thanks to everybody that helped. It's really, really, really important and to me. And yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.